My name is Elon Bludinger. I live in Washington, D.C. I chair the Board of Trustees at the Washington International School, and this is my 4th year judging internationals. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sue Leeson, a retired justice on the Oregon Supreme Court and now a federal district court mediator.
And hello, my name is Tandy McConnell. I'm a professor of history at Columbia College in South Carolina, and it's good to be with you again.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Abernathy. I'll be attending the University of Alabama this fall, and I plan to study history.
Hi, I'm Andy Krause. I'll be attending Sewanee this fall and majoring in English.
Hello, I'm Jackson Bewley. I'll be attending the University of Virginia and majoring in architecture. We have our teachers, Mrs. Amy Maddox and Mrs. Jane Schaefer, with us. We're all happy to be here.
Great. Welcome. And welcome you teachers as well. Okay, so this, of course, is Unit 1. Let me read the question, and then we'll go ahead and hear your presentation, and then we'll begin to ask you some questions as well. So Unit 1, of course, is the philosophical and historical foundations of the American political system. Question number 1. Why was the history of the Roman Republic both an example and a warning to America's founding generation? Why do you think the founders chose a republican or representative government rather than other forms of government? In Federalist 39, Madison argues that it is essential to such a republican government that it be derived from the great body of society, not from an inconsiderable proportion or a favored class of it. Do you agree or disagree?
Thank you. May we begin?
Of course.
In his Canterbury Tales, Geoffrey Chaucer based one of his narratives on the Roman decemvir Appius, who utilized his powerful influence to kidnap a soldier's beautiful daughter and declare her his slave. The Roman Republic, rife with selfishness and treachery such as this, served as a warning and an example to America's framers.
In the early republic, Roman plebeians bore unjustified oppressions. Protesting undeserved debts and labor exploitations, they withdrew from Rome in the first secession of the plebes.
Likewise, American patriots emancipated themselves from the economic oppression and arbitrary rule of King George. In 450 BC, the plebeians enacted the Law of the 12 Tables, solidifying Roman law into the first written constitution.
Cicero stated, "That single little book of the 12 Tables seems to me to surpass all the libraries of the philosophers." The American founders, well versed in Roman history and philosophy, convened in Philadelphia to draft a constitution ensuring equal representation and confirming the existence of a higher law.
The Roman Republic, manifesting one of Aristotle's right forms of government, the polity, combined aspects of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy to create a mixed government. We agree with James Madison's assertion in Federalist 39 that government must be derived from the great body of society, not from the inconsiderable portion or a favored class of it.
Believing that a pure democracy would allow majority tyranny and an aristocracy would neglect the masses, the American colonists studied Roman history and witnessed the success of republicanism in their local governments. Americans organized state legislatures of elected officials who valued individual rights and promoted the common good. In contrast to classical republicanism, these small republics believed government to be the servant of the people.
John Adams defined the new Republican government as a government in which all men, rich and poor, magistrates and subjects, masters and servants, the first citizen and the last, are equally subject to the laws.
Furthermore, a just government acts on the will of its people. Thomas Jefferson said, "We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts." Mirroring the public Roman Senate debates, the framers assured the protection of this principle in Article 1, Section 5 of the Constitution, which states that Congress must keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same.
Unlike the lifelong terms of Roman senators, the framers chose to hold set elections to ensure that representatives would be accountable to their constituents, preserving the ultimate sovereignty of the people. In the First Amendment, Americans guaranteed their right to petition, following the plebeians' example in submitting the 12 Tables.
During the Republic, consuls or citizens were appointed military dictator in times of crisis. This weighty power provided the path for ambitious Roman emperors to usurp control, ultimately bringing about the Republic's descent to despotism.
In response, the framers enumerated the power of impeachment in Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution, and divided war powers among the branches. Furthermore, American citizens act as the final check on intrusive government, protecting their rights by staying informed of the actions of their leaders.
For example, President Franklin Roosevelt served 4 consecutive terms and acquired a concerning amount of power through his controversial New Deal program. Americans reacted by passing the 22nd Amendment, establishing presidential term limits.
The Roman Republic continues to stand as a warning. 3 slave wars in Sicily communicated the dangers of oppression and foreshadowed the American Civil War. The struggle of the orders demonstrated the consequences of disparity between classes. While the rich and the poor will always exist, government programs such as Medicare and welfare erect bridges to lessen those disparities.
However, the growing power of the national government, specifically the executive, should stand as the most glaring similarity of all. If the power of the American executive continues to expand unchecked, the result of our blindness to heed the warnings of history could prove catastrophic. Thank you. We're now ready for questions.
Okay. We touched on a lot of things. I want to go back to a famous writer, Edward Gibbons, who wrote this famous history of the decline of the Roman Empire. And he placed some of the blame for the fall of the Roman Empire, the loss of civic virtue. And one of Gibbons' main point was that he believed that organized religion, in his case, he specifically pointed to Christianity, saying that it contributed to this loss of civic virtue because it made the populace less interested in the worldly here and now and more willing to wait for the rewards of heaven. This was his view. It's a fairly, really well-respected historical tone, if you will. And he also talked about the importance of a strong economy. So my question is, does civic virtue, based on the experience of the Roman Empire, does it almost presuppose a more secular society and a society that is experiencing economic expansion as opposed to a society that is more heavily oriented towards religion and with declining economic opportunity?
I disagree. I believe that religion and progress can coexist in the government. I think civic virtue can even be helped by this idea of private morality that's stressed by Christianity and other religions.
I think it's important to look back and what Rome was founded on. I agree with Elizabeth that I think that religion and the success of an economy can coexist. But Rome was founded on, the Roman gods and mythology, and they were very superstitious people. So when Christianity came in, it was just this revolutionary religion that would just overturn the foundation of the Roman Empire, really.
Exactly, and we should be careful in viewing classical Republicanism and Christianity as two separate things that can't coexist. In America, we're one of the most religious countries in the world, and we instill civic virtue in our citizens, and we're doing fine.